Hello folks, it's the Pace Chaser again. Welcome to another one of my videos. This is another one of the model reviews where we look at some of the older castings available on the second-hand market. And today we're going to look at the EFE AEC Routemaster. We've got both the standard length version, the RM, and the lengthened version, the RML, to look at. And we've got one of each of the first series and the second series. So basically the difference was the second series had flush glazing. The first series of both the RM and the RML had insert glazing like this, just a single piece in each deck, which didn't give a flush glazed effect. Whereas the reissued version, in about 2006, they updated the casting so it had strips of glazing which gave a flush glazed effect like that. So as I say, we've got one from each era. Basically the original RML was just like this casting but with the insert glazing, and the updated RM was this casting just with flush glazing added, so you get the gist of it. So I'm going to start with the RM, and we've got catalogue number 15606A, also known as 15606DL, the deluxe version. The original one, 15606, was issued in August 1993. At that time the standard releases didn't have registration plates, so that had no registration plates and no adverts. In July 1995 the 15606A or 15606DL version was released, the deluxe version with registration plates and adverts. At that time quite a few of the deluxe versions were issued in conjunction with the model and toy shop Beatties, and this was one of them, so it's got Beatties adverts on the near side and the rear. Some of those Beatties ones had Beatties adverts all around. This one didn't, it had a local advert on the off side. But we'll start and have a look at the casting. We'll start with the front. As I've said before in my reviews, the important bit, this is the bit that's normally displayed, whether it's on a model railway or in a display case. It does capture the look quite well. I've never actually seen a model Routemaster that captures it 100%. I can't really say what the problem is on them, but the EFE one and the Corgi OOC and various other ones that you can get, they never quite seem to show the face of it exactly right. I mean, this is, you know, the shape's good, the detailing's good. It just somehow doesn't seem to capture the presence of the real thing somehow. But it is a good effort. You can see the opening windows are represented on this early version by some lines on the glazing unit. Got the three-piece destination display modelled in relief. It's not just printed on, it's actually in relief there, which gives it a pleasing look. If you are buying these second-hand, just have a look out for the indicators. They're on a separate bit. There's the upper deck sort of die-cast casting and the lower deck one. In between them there's a plastic strip which goes all the way around the bus, and that's what the relief band is on. It's not painted, it's actually printed plastic. These indicators at the front are actually moulded onto that plastic strip, and they are susceptible to being broken off. You just catch it and they break off. Indeed, it looks like the offside one is partially snapped off on this one. You can see it's a bit shorter than the near side version. Just look out for that. Sometimes you do get them with them missing, quite frequently in fact, because they are quite susceptible to damage. If we go down again, the opening windscreen's just modelled with a line on the printed glazing unit. Radiator's quite nicely done. There is no radiator badge on it. The AEC or the Routemaster badge is missing. It's just silvered in the middle. If you wanted to make a start of doing like code 3 detailing and painting and things like that, you could get some transfers. Quite a few manufacturers do them and just stick an AEC badge on there. If we go on to the near side, you've got the bonnet detail quite nicely done there. The wheels are a bit insipid on this. They were painted in the primrose yellow livery. These are printed plastic. They're actually printed in that colour, and they do look a little bit insipid. Should be a little bit darker perhaps. So decoration wise on this one, it is just on this one as well, the East Yorkshire. The name is a little bit spindly. It perhaps should be, the lettering should be a bit thicker. The fleet number there should be actually on the bonnet side, but I've repainted a number of Routemasters over the years, and I've tried to stick transfers on the bonnet side, and it's nigh on impossible. So I understand why they've elected to put it there instead. One thing the first series Routemasters did all have was a wheel disc. Now the rail buses, some of them had those when they were new in the late 50s, early 60s, but they were taken off after a few years. EFE used to generally use preserved vehicles. They used to go and photograph and measure a preserved one, and I can only assume that the one they initially measured and photographed had a wheel disc on it. The preservationists had put the wheel disc back on, so that every RM and RML from the first series had a wheel disc. Not really prototypical. It does strike a bit of a jarring note, but there's not much you can do about it unless you've got a spare set of wheels that haven't got a disc on them, and then you could break the wheels off and replace them if you wanted to. But yeah, it does spoil the appearance somewhat. You can see the floors cast in there. If you got the interior out, you can also see that the flooring was moulded into the interior as well. Interior itself done in a brown colour. They do benefit from taking them apart and painting the interior just to pick out the seats in a different colour, that sort of iconic Routemaster maquette. We go around to the back. The grab rail is part of the main casting there. Would benefit from being picked out in silver. Similarly, the grab pole in the middle of the doorway would be covered in white tape in real life, so you could paint that white as well just to improve the appearance. But generally the appearance of the back pretty decent. Emergency exit nicely done. Again, the blind cast into the casting there, not just printed on. Got a representation of the indicators, the various other lights. And yeah, it's all rather nicely done. Go around to the offside. As I said, the adverts on this release, the deluxe version of 15606, the offside, they put a local Hull Daily Mail newspaper advert on, which was quite a nice touch. But again, the wheel disc just letting down the appearance slightly there. Look at the roof, not much to report really, just a standard roof. The panels nicely cast in. And then just flip it over to look at the underside. You've got a representation there of the engine and gearbox and various other bits and pieces, done in a nice subdued black plastic. But yeah, pretty decent overall. It does look about right. As I say, I've never seen a model Routemaster that really convinces me 100% that it looks like the real thing, but that's pretty close, to be honest. So we'll move on to the RML. This one's a bit of a rare bird. It's catalogue number 31903, released in January 2007, and it's the renowned Cavendish version, which was available to readers of Ian Allen magazines, buses, and bus and coach preservation, I think that was the other one. Limited to 1500 models. I got this one second hand. They are available if you go on the internet auction sites and various model shop websites. You can get them on the second hand market. So yeah, this is the updated one with the flush glazing, which looks a lot better, as you can see. Other than that, it's pretty similar. The blind cast in again. One thing these did have, the second series, was they had rear view mirrors. And what they did was they cut a slot in the plastic insert in the middle. They cut a slot across it and put a bit of wire across that runs between the two mirrors. So they're on a substantial piece of wire, and they are quite substantial, as you can see. They're very difficult to damage. Again, the indicators are susceptible to damage, but the mirrors really aren't. It's a good idea and a nice design touch by EFE to do that. As you can see, it's not moving at all when I sort of try and wiggle it. Other than that, very similar. It is, as I say, the original casting, just with flush glazing and the mirrors added. The extra window nicely modelled there on the RML that lengthened the real thing. On this one, they have actually managed to put the fleet number on the bonnet side as well. As you can see, the second series, the other difference, apart from the flush glazing and the mirrors, was that they had a wheel without a disc on. So they went from one extreme to the other. None of them had a disc on, whether they should or not, on the second series. The wheel, it does look better than the one with the disc. It doesn't quite capture the look of the real thing. I can't decide whether the central hub sticks out too far, whether it's the wrong diameter, or even a bit of both, but for some reason it doesn't quite capture the look of the actual Routemaster wheel. As you can see, they've done the grab pole in the centre of the doorway in prototypical white on this one, and they've picked out the handrail as well, which is a nice touch. All in all, very nice model. I've no experience of renowned Cavendish, but I really liked the delivery. I wanted to have this in my collection. I found one going cheap on Hatton's website, I think it was, before they closed down. Just have a look at the roof there, and again, just the underside. You can see the mirrors, the rearward facing face of them is picked out in silver. Again, a nice touch. So we get on to price. Well, I've had a look through a certain internet auction site. Cheapest Routemaster or RML I can find is about £7 including postage. So that's your starting point. It's actually about £7 for an RM, about £8 for an RML. Going up, the most expensive I could find was £700. So some releases are more sought after than others. There were ones variously in the 200, 100, 90, and then you got down to more sensible prices, the 50s and 60s. But certainly as a base rate, as I say, starting at £7 or £8 and going up through the teens, depending exactly what you want. Some releases, as usual with these castings, some are more sought after than others. The RMLs tend to command a slightly higher price, but again, that's not given. It's not consistent really. Some of the early releases, certainly on the RMLs, are quite lowly priced as well. As I say, starting about £8. But it's a case, as always, of just shopping around. If you find one that you like, just have a look through the various internet auction sites, model shop websites, compare the prices, and just find one where the price suits you. But yeah, all in all, very nice model. Well worth having in the collection. These two are out my display case, hence why I haven't painted the interiors or anything like that. I've just left them as EFE intended. But as I said, they do lend themselves to a bit of detailing, AEC badges, pick out the handrails, etc., paint the interiors, and you've got a model that's all yours. But as always, thank you for joining me. Take care, and I will see you again soon. Bye for now.